Hi guys, so today John Bolton is meeting with Mir Ben Shabbat to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States and Israel in relation to Iran and the nuclear threat coming from there. This just backs up the theory that they're going to attack Iran first. The agreement that they're going to sign probably says something on the lines of if Israel attacks Iran, America will back them up. That's kind of an unspoken understanding at the moment, but now they have something physically on paper. So moving forward, looks like they're ready to go ahead and, stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, which they may have already acquired if there's a connection between the North Korean testing and stopping, and then the issues of Iran kind of flaring up. It's like a one-two punch kind of hit. 1 minute it's North Korea, that settles down, goes into peace agreement talk, and then it goes into Iran, withdraw from the nuclear deal. Now we've got secret ICBM programs going on in the desert. We've got lies about the nuclear program coming. That's what Israel says. So, it's like I'm definitely wondering if what North Korea were doing all the testing and everything in their country and then shipping all the information to Iran. Now that they've completed everything, North Korea are like, okay, we'll come to the peace table now. We'll talk. We'll go about and denuclearize. Meanwhile, it's possible that all the information they acquired throughout that time of testing has been passed on to Iran, who now has the opportunity to go ahead and start the Iran program if Europe can't save the deal come May 31st. So there's a lot to watch. But importantly, even more importantly, I think, is Yellowstone. Well, equally important, I should say. Yellowstone Volcano Observatory experts addressed concerns the monstrous supervolcano is a ticking time bomb after ground deformations and unusual geyser activity were recorded. So basically, they're trying to placate people's fears, trying to tell people there's not going to be an eruption. One person on Twitter commented, "We're doomed," and the USGS hit back quite firmly on that, saying there is no unusual volcanic activity at Yellowstone right now. We'll say it again, Yellowstone is not going to erupt. But if it does erupt, then these people, all faith will be lost in their organization. I think it's pretty dangerous for the USGS to come out and say Yellowstone is not going to erupt, putting no sort of time frame on it, but giving it a complete, definite feel. So people kind of like, oh, Yellowstone's not going to erupt, it's fine. Geysers erupting, earthquakes and ground deformation are normal signs from a supervolcano. However, it comes down to this point in the report where it says, from the USGS, it is one of our best monitored volcanoes in the world, referring to Yellowstone, and we would see signs of volcanic activity long before they became dangerous. So my question is, what is Steamboat Geyser erupting 7 or 8 times this year, seismic activity and ground deformation mean to them? To me, that is volcanic activity long before it becomes dangerous. So for fear of causing fear in the public, you downplay what could possibly be the signs of volcanic activity long before it becomes dangerous, only warning when it's actually become dangerous, I'm guessing. So you guys need to really keep an eye on Yellowstone, because I feel like this year there's going to be something going on with it. With all the references we had to volcanoes, you remember that woman who renamed herself Jesus, and in the background there was a flower, but when you flipped it upside down, it was a volcano. The Google Doodle referencing the volcano, the iPad Goat video referencing volcano. So a volcano is definitely going to erupt, and I think Kilauea is not the one. It's definitely depicted in the iPad Goat video, in my opinion, but I think it's not the major one. It's not the one that's going to cause a volcanic winter, sorry. Which is what I think is actually depicted in the iPad Goat video. Not a nuclear winter or a real winter, like natural seasonal weather, but I think it's a volcanic winter that we're going to see there. And I think it's connected to Yellowstone, because that is probably one out of maybe 10 volcanoes in the world that is big enough and powerful enough to do that. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely interesting that there's Uplift at Yellowstone. Previous reports I read said there were 3 signs to watch out for in terms of a potential volcanic eruption, and that was seismic activity and geysers erupting, which we had at the time, and the last one, which we didn't have at the time, was ground deformation, but we do have that now. There's a woman on YouTube called Mary something. I've forgotten her name. Please accept my apologies if I find it out, or some of you know who I'm talking about. She's very good at getting updates regarding Yellowstone online onto YouTube quite quickly. Yesterday, before any of these reports came out, she was talking about the 7th eruption at Steamboat, and she said there was an 8th one as well that wasn't being reported. I looked at the graph and it did look like there was an 8th one, but nothing coming officially out of the USGS or the Volcano Observatory. So not sure what to make of that. But she also said there was ground deformation, and the reports that came after she had put that online didn't mention anything about ground deformation. And I haven't received any deformation reports until now. So I think she's on the ball with that one, which is why I've subscribed to her, and will pay close attention to Yellowstone through her as well as through my own means. But you guys, there's a lot to watch here. As I said, May 31st, we'll see what happens with this Iran nuclear deal, and whether that leads to events kicking off in the Middle East, in particular with Iran. And then we've got the volcano Yellowstone, which has continued to show signs of activity. But I think also because of Kilauea going off at the moment, it's definitely not getting the coverage that you would expect something like this to get. Especially since there's another volcano going off at the moment. You'd think news reporters would be rushing to Yellowstone to find out what's going on there and if there's another potential eruption, unless there's a media blackout on it, which is why there's only one report that I've managed to get about ground deformation. So you guys, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.